Hello there, my name is Sixo, but more on that later as now it's time to bring you a brand new unboxing video. No monkey business on this one, I promise. So today's video comes courtesy of TF Source, who sent me this toy to review. I'll put the link to tfsource.com in the video description, and I'll be aiming to get the full write-up published on their blog ASAP. But for now, we're going to be cracking that box open and giving you my first impression on the toy in question. And today we're taking a look at Masterpiece MP-38 Beast Wars Burning Convoy, which is of course a repainted version of the original MP-32 Optimus Primal figure, or more specifically the subsequent MP-38 Legendary Leader version, which is itself an anime-style representation of the character as he appeared in the Japanese Beast Wars second cartoon, where he's simply known as Convoy. Confused yet? Well, don't worry, as it is a bit of a bizarre release. I mean, just look at this thing to start with. I've seen many comments about this toy online, a lot of which are questioning just what on earth it's about, and many more saying that it really just looks a bit weird, so perhaps we can try and clear up some of that mystery today. I will say that it is definitely quite an out there design, and maybe not one that I'd expected to be given the Masterpiece treatment, but it's fun to see TakaraTomy give it a go all the same. Anyway, this toy is a rather niche reference to Beast Wars 2nd, as I say. Optimus Primal actually doesn't crop up much in the cartoon itself, as it's set many thousands of years into the future, hence the MP-38 toy being known as Legendary Leader, as by this point the character is indeed a legend from the past. He appears in the events of the TV movie special, however, where he's summoned through time by Magnaboss so that he can lend a hand to Lio Convoy's troops in the battle against Galvatron.
で、マグナボス、彼はどうしたんだ？
うん、一緒に来てるよ。あそこに。
あれはあの伝説の総司令官。コンボイ。
This particular toy is a representation of his so-called burning convoy form, which is kind of like a souped-up, ready-to-do battle mode, but looking a bit more like a glowing red gorilla than maybe you'd first expect. He and Lio Convoy both use the Energon matrix in their chest to power themselves up and take on Majin Zarek, a huge Predacon monster with one known weakness, that being a third eye in the middle of his forehead. Now, Lio Convoy turns white and gold, calling himself Flash Lio Convoy, and Convoy himself, of course, becomes the red ape that we're talking about today. And yes, it's all as strange as it sounds.
行くぜ、ライオコンボイ。おう。そう、ラッシュライオコンボイ。おう、バーニングコンボイ。マトリックスブラスター。
So I really hadn't planned it, but somehow this has ended up being my third Beast Wars 2nd video in as many months. And honestly, no matter how many times I go back to the show, well, I still have to chuckle at it. I mean, it's brilliant, but yeah. Right, so let's crack on and take a look at the toy itself, shall we? The box is fairly typical for the Masterpiece line, with the character being portrayed in both modes on the front, and that Long Life Design logo being displayed rather proudly in the corner there. On the back, we have various promotional photos that show the many features this guy has to offer, including the accessories and the inherent gimmicks. It all looks pretty exciting, and I can't wait to give it a go, despite this being a mold I'm already very familiar with. Right then, let's go ahead and get this guy cracked open, shall we? Pretty excited about this one. I'm already a big fan of this mold, as I say, so we're just going to go ahead and get the tape open and see what it's all about. I'm sure it's not a release that, you know, maybe a lot of people are kind of thinking about getting, but I, for one, I'm always up for a weird recolor or three. Here we are. Box is open, so let's take a look at the contents. There's the blister with the toy itself, a couple of swords, a few spare faces, which we'll look at in just a minute. So that's a spare face for the robot mode and a spare face for the beast mode there as well. Just set that to one side. Here we've got the instructions in a little baggie, along with the character card. So let's take a look at those. You can see everything that you're going to get part of this package. You'll note I'm trying something new today. This is my first time doing this with the camera facing the table, so let's see how it goes. It's all a bit of a learning curve for me, so interesting. Right, here's the character card. There you go. Some very nice artwork on that one, showing him in his burning convoy form. And on the back, well, it's the toy and a few tech specs. 10s all the way across the board, evidently. Here are the instructions. I already know how to transform this toy, so I don't think there's going to be any surprises along the way. Tells you how to install the batteries just there. And on the other side, those promotional pictures of the toy, yet again. Same gimmick photos from the back of the box. And these are his features. So we've got plasma cannons in his wrists, Mega Blaster. So those are his flip-out blasters on his shoulders, the swords, or cyber blades as they're called here, and the little jetpack that Optimus Primal's pretty famous for. All the same stuff. If you're already familiar with the MP-32 version, or indeed the legendary leader repaint, then you'll know all of this already. If you don't own this mold already, I guess this would be a strange one to start with, really. I don't know, like I can't imagine this is going to be many people's first experience of this mold. I guess it's possible, but it would be a strange one to start with. It's probably most people more likely to go with one of the other two previous versions instead. So let's get the tape off the clamshell here. And then we'll take a look at the toy itself. There we go. Whoops. Right, a few bits popping out there. So we've got a spare face for the beast mode, a snarling face. The original toy actually came with several of these. See if we can get it to focus just there, sorry. So the original toy actually came with several of these, but this one only comes with the one. But still, it's kind of nice. I mean, he's only on screen very briefly, but that will probably do a very nice job at resembling the animation, I'm sure. We have spare face for the robot mode, just there, with the closed faceplate, not with the open mouth, which, you know, Convoy or Optimus Primal, if you prefer, is more well known for. He does often get seen in the cartoon with a closed faceplate as well, of course, during battle scenes, that kind of thing. So that's nice to see that included. I'm sure some people will prefer that look as well. Then we've got just here a couple of swords, which, as I already know, can be stored away, well, obviously in his hands, but stored away in his robot mode as well. So we'll come to those in just a minute. And then we've got the toy itself. Oh, which has actually got... Okay, we're going to need the scissors back because there's actually a little tie just here to keep him in place. So we'll just go ahead and delicately snip that. There we go. Right. So we'll just get that clamshell out of the way. And here he is. All right, and he's looking pretty good, actually, I have to say. I'm into it. Yeah, I really like that. I mean, I guess it's kind of what I expected in many ways, but I have to say the translucent red plastic actually looks really, really nice in hand. Clear toys are not everybody's favorite thing. A lot of people worry about the durability of them and things like that. And, it's true that there are a fair share on the market which are maybe not as sturdy or reliable as perhaps, non-clear toys. But I have to say, I think this looks pretty good. It feels really nice to the touch actually as well. It doesn't feel very brittle at all. So to be fair, a lot of the Beast Wars releases from TakaraTomy Masterpiece, in my experience, are of quite good quality, I have to say. Other than like a little bit of paint rubbing on stuff like Masterpiece Cheetor, generally speaking, the quality's been quite good. Certainly, I haven't had any issues with the two first versions of this mold. So I'm not really expecting to have any major dramas here as well. I think a lot of the kind of more controversial releases seem to be the G1 toys at the moment, which is a little bit unfortunate. But first impressions of this beast mode, I think he's looking pretty nice. So accessories wise, quite some nice things included in the box. So overall, that's looking like a really, really decent package, has to be said. Right, so let's just do a bit of closer inspection on this beast mode, shall we? So you can see his face just there. And really nice sort of two-tone color in the paint here. This sort of brighter red just up top here, and the sort of slightly more opaque area on his chest and in his face. And it fades quite nicely actually between the two. But I think that looks really, really good. So slightly nicely offset with those blue eyes just there. And then, of course, you've got gold hands and feet, which look really weird, but still kind of cool. It's not actual gold plastic, I don't believe, or certainly not the swirly kind that you've got to worry about. Seems even these days, you can't mention gold plastic without someone being worried about GPS, but I really don't think that's going to be a problem here. I really like this beast mode overall, I have to say. I know it's, in terms of the Beast Wars MPs, there's always going to be a little bit of kibble, and true indeed, this one has, some, like here, the little robot feet at the back, for example. And obviously when this is, normally coloured and not bright red and pink, you can see that his robot mode shins are on the back here as well. But typically speaking, I think they clean up really, this beast mode anyway, cleans up really nicely. Actually, probably this mould, if anything, because of the colour scheme, actually does it quite a good bit of justice, because if anything, it just hides that robot kibble even more. But I generally speaking, I do think it's fair enough that there's a bit of kibble on these beast modes as well. Of course, you can pose him up slightly as well. He's got, decent articulation just there. I always think that this joint is a little bit of a shame on the robot mode arms, but, it's a nitpick. There we go. You can pose him away. Quite a nimble little gorilla. If you want to, of course, you can swap out the face. That just is on a little pull mechanism. Looks kind of strange without it, but there you go. And then put this one in instead. It just pegs on in place. There you go. That's his angry face, and then you can get him, beating his chest if you really want to. That's how they have him displayed in a lot of the promotional photography. There we go. And again, really nice paint applications there. The teeth are very small, but nicely painted. They look great, and the eyes look really good too. So overall, nice finish on this toy. Head up, obviously, is a bit of articulation there as well. And you can actually have him posed. You can move the knuckles round on a swivel joint as well. And there is this weird hinge here that, there we go, that untabs and allows you to sort of have him in a slightly more traditional gorilla pose as well, should you absolutely wish. So that's pretty much it for the beast mode. I mean, yeah, it looks as I sort of expected it to. Overall, really, really nice. But I like the red, I have to say. And, all things considered, and given how bizarre this release is and how niche the kind of references to the cartoon, I think they've done a pretty cracking job here at producing a translucent gorilla that's meant to look like it's on fire. It's a good job. Right, so let's go ahead and get this guy transformed into robot mode. So I hopefully know this already quite well, so it shouldn't present any major challenges. So we're just going to go ahead and give it a go. So we're going to flip the arms down just there, and then flip this bit up, do the same on the other side. So that's his sort of shoulder pads. There you go. Make sure the arms are facing forward. The arms actually are on there's a slight joint here as well that can untab, so you can fold those forward should you absolutely wish. And then this whole bit comes down. There we go. And untab at the back, just here, these sections. Oops, this whole head coming off now. I always find it's quite good fun transforming, there we go, transforming a new version of a toy that you know quite well, because there's often little nuances and differences. So why can I not get that to go? There we go. And that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about, actually. Just little differences in the tolerances sometimes, or slight changes, variations in the mold. Sometimes very subtle things, but when you get to know these toys quite well, it can make all the difference, really. Now, I think from memory, his head should have really brushed up on my Optimus Primal transformation, but I didn't. So the whole backpack rotates around, and then it's this head swap thing. So you can have either alt mode head on whilst you do this, but the gorilla head rotates inside the chest, and then the robot mode head pops up. Then this gorilla chest section pushes further down and inside. There we go. And then the gorilla chest, the bottom bit of the gorilla chest becomes the robot mode chest. It should, there we go, tab quite neatly. Tidy that up in just a minute. And then if we pull out this bit on the front, and then that bit rotates around and back in to form the robot mode chest. And that's what you see in the cartoon is his energon matrix just there. It's kind of funny, actually. I'm trying to think if Convoy or Optimus Primal actually appears in beast mode in Beast Wars 2nd at all, other than in his burning Convoy form. I'm struggling to think if he does. Maybe I've forgotten, but I don't recall him doing so. I'm sure someone will point out to me if I'm wrong, but I currently, sitting here transforming the toy as I am, don't recall that to be the case. I think he only appears in beast form as Burning Convoy, not in his standard form. Right, anyway, get these legs down, there we go. Now these knees are always a bit of a weird one. Don't mind it so much on here actually, but on the standard toy, I always feel like there's going to be a bit of paint rub there, but it's never actually been a problem. It's just one of those areas that, I often think, oops, is it going to be okay? But right, there we go. Pop the other knee out. There we go. And then that clips in there. And then there are these two little bits for his shins. And that pops back up in there. Now we do that bit that I love in the in the original mainframe Beast Wars cartoon, where he's sort of basically transformed, and then halfway through his transformation, he's got to kind of walk his legs around at the waist. It's kind of very memorable way that the character transforms, of course. So, and then we can go ahead and hang on, how does that sit? We'll come back to that. There we go. Get that pegged up back in there. Right, but for all intents and purposes, that is Burning Convoy in his robot mode. There we go. Yeah, looking pretty good. Liking it, actually, I have to say. The translucent red plastic looks so much better in hand than I think I was expecting it to. I'd be completely honest, when I first saw pictures of this guy, I'm sure like a lot of people, I just thought, wow, okay, they've actually done that, have they? That's kind of a bizarre one. but seeing it in hand now, it's really quite striking. Looks really great in the light. Nice mix of translucent, opaque parts. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. Right, so let's take a proper look at this robot mode, shall we? So as I say, looking really, really nice so far. Really nice paint applications on this guy as well. If I bring him a little bit closer, there you go. You can see the face sculpt in all its glory. Gold lips and everything. I know a lot of people think that looks kind of bizarre, but it is what it is. Animation accurate, so that obviously is a that forgives all sins. But no, seriously, it is looking really, really nice. I have to say, nice gold highlights on the arms just here. Again on the hands. Not really a lot of other colour to speak of, but actually it sets it off quite nicely, it has to be said. And I don't mind the gold lips. I think, you know, it is a bit weird, but I think it looks kind of cool all the same. Now, this guy's eyes do light up as well. I don't have the batteries for it, sadly, but yeah, you can install the batteries in there and have his eyes glowing too, which is really, really nice if you want. And then, of course, if you really prefer, you can actually just swap out the face. Now, you kind of got to get your thumb just under there. That just comes out. It's on a little peg system. And the other face just pegs in its place, and it's the battle mask, as you can see. So there you go. That's probably quite appropriate for burning Convoy in many ways, as he spends his limited screen time actually in sort of battle mode, if anything. So yeah, it works pretty well to me. I think that looks really, really nice. And I think the battle mask, you know, is something that a lot of people kind of like to see as well. It's you know, when I first saw the mouth on Optimus Primal as a character, I mean, it's many years ago now with Beast Wars, I think it took a little while to get used to, but actually I do kind of like it now, and I've really come to kind of identify it with the character. But the battle mask still looks really cool as well. Then, of course, you've got his swords. There we go. So these can just be placed. He's got little articulated hands. Wow, it's very stiff on there, actually. His fingers, quite stiff on this copy. And that just pegs in. Sorry, just get that in focus. That just pegs in. There we go. Almost. Quite hard to get in there. There we go. So he can hold both his swords. And then there's a second one as well. Or if you prefer, you can actually have them just tabbed on his backpack like that. Hang on, hard to see with all this red plastic. There we go. So you can actually store both of his swords, there's one on the other side as well, in his backpack instead, should he absolutely wish. Of course, he's got plenty of guns going on. We'll just put the swords back to one side. Oops. Can get that out. So he's got his flip-up guns just there on his shoulders. And probably my favorite feature on this toy is the, hang on, there's a little flip-up guns on the arms. There's a little bit just there that you get with your nail. And then they can pop up in either arm. You can have him firing away like that. No missiles or anything to speak of. Not really the masterpiece kind of thing, that, but they pop up really nicely. There is one in his other arm as well, but they look really, really great. So yeah, overall, I mean, look, first impressions with this guy, I think he looks pretty good, actually, I have to say. Quite surprised by how much I like the new deco in hand. Definitely more impressed with it than I thought. And yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of this mold already, there's possibly not a lot that you won't enjoy about it. I mean, I've got all three of them now. There he is with the legendary leader, Optimus Primal. So that's the original Beast Wars second version in the sort of more anime style. And there's the original masterpiece Optimus Primal as well. And, you know, all together, there's a lot to be said about all three versions, actually. They all kind of do different things, bring something different to the table. So I'm personally very happy to have all three in my collection. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting Burning Convoy behind a camera properly as well, and taking some decent pictures of it and doing the photo review. I can't wait for that. And I'll be taking loads of pictures of all three of these guys together. I'll take some pictures of Lao Convoy with him as well. I've absolutely no doubt that TakaraTomy must have a flash Lao Convoy in the works. As well as, you know, maybe a black Lao Convoy. It seems like a very natural repaint for that guy, you know, and it's a new mold, so I'm sure they'll want to make the most of it. So it'll be great as and when we see a flash Lao Convoy to go alongside Burning Convoy. But for now, I'll take some pictures of the regular Lao Convoy with this dude so you can see how they look together, and plenty of other figures, I'm sure. But overall, very happy with how he looks so far. Really, really nice first impression. Bit of a bizarre one, I know. I'm sure a lot of people may be still thinking that it looks strange, but hey, I dig it. So that's MP-38 plus Burning Convoy. Bit of a bizarre toy, but lots of fun all the same. I'll put the link to TF Source's listing in the video description, so you can go ahead and order one now if you want, and I'll be aiming to get the full review and photos up on their blog ASAP. Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and maybe check out some of my other videos whilst you're at it. In fact, why don't you do it just now, like right now? Anyway, quick final shout out to everyone who already supports me on Patreon. The details are coming up at the end of the video, so if you'd like to do the same, it's really appreciated. That's it from me. Enjoy the rest of your day. TTFN.